Mabel Senior, born Wednesday, 13th of December 1911. So that's actually the same year as my mum, isn't it?
Yes.
My mum's August 1911, yeah.
Mine's December.
In 2001 you will be 32,873 days young. You were most likely conceived on the 22nd of March 1911. Oh God, I wonder if we all need to know that information. That's great.
It's a collie, yeah.
You were going to sit there.
No, you were going to sit there.
Sit there.
I'll sit here, Mabel.
Wait, I don't want to trip you up.
I
Well.
usually do sit.
Are you
Yes,
comfortable there?
that's fine. Yes.
It's so
Yes,
lovely to
it's-
see you.
It's going home rapidly.
Wonderful to see you. Wonderful to
It is,
see
Yes,
you.
it's
You're
wonderful
looking
to see
great.
you.
You just look the same as well. We saw
Always.
each other last year because that was Auntie Mary's 90th. Yeah, I can see that. Oh,
That's my Auntie Mabel at the end, who I was called after.
oh, really?
So she was an aunt.
So,
Oh, okay.
who's
Yes.
And did she live just down Bradford Road?
Down Dewhurst Road.
Dewhurst Road, yes, okay. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, she was your aunt. She was your auntie.
She was, yes, my mother's younger sister.
oh, and that's what they got the name Mabel from her. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, lovely.
Oh, right.
She looks very nice.
She was often at your place, wasn't she, Mabel? Because I remember when I went, she was often there.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
she lived at our
Keith.
house at one time.
Oh,
Oh, she lived there. Oh,
Yeah, she lived down Dewhurst Road. She was a housekeeper for a lady right further up Bradford Road. And when she died, she got that house. And then, as she was getting older, it must have been, she came to live at our house. Till she died at our house.
Is that when you had the loft converted? Because you had a loft ladder
Yes,
made,
we-
didn't you?
yeah.
So was that?
No, that was when my mother and father used to come.
Ah,
And when we were short of a bedroom,
ah,
I often wondered why we only ever had 2 bedrooms. It was my idea when we built it. And you know, funnily enough, I often think this house is from the same plan.
right.
It's different, but it's got a lot of things the same.
You said when you built it, did you build Allison Drive then? The house there?
We bought the land, and we had it built.
yes.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Was that when was that then? Would that have been before the war?
just before the war.
Oh,
I love
right.
that.
Gary was born just before the war.
Right, yes.
Pam was born during the war.
Gosh.
And yes, it's
I was saying to Keith that they've built a bit more on that land now, haven't they? Where the garden was.
we built a house.
Built a house.
We were silly. We bought that land just so that we could put garages on it. You see,
Yes.
There was nowhere to put garages. Didn't have garage cars in those days, and we bought that land. And they got more for the blinking land than they got for the house.
Oh,
And
goodness.
they got a lot for the house.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
they got a terrific amount, and it was a house that cost. I've lost count of
How many thousand?
400,000. Would that be that house?
Goodness me.
I wouldn't have wanted it in that position, but never
No.
mind.
No.
That's what it was. And
Oh.
then they built another house at the bottom of our.
Have they?
Yes, bottom of our back garden.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a bit of space.
Yes.
There's a house built there.
Goodness. Have you any idea how much you would have paid for that house?
How much we would have paid for it
Yes.
when it was built.
When it was new,
Just
yes.
around the war.
Yes, I think it was about 800
800? Yeah.
£800.
Goodness.
So you lived through the war in that house?
Yes, we
Was
lived
there-
till we came here.
All right. Were there any bombs or anything in this area during
Air
the war?
raids.
No.
Any air raids? Did you have?
Well, we had air raids,
Mhm.
but I don't know that we had any bombs.
No, no.
Was the mill working during the war?
But
Was the mill working during the
Yes.
war? So Uncle Clifford would be
Yes.
working in the mill.
Clifford couldn't be called up
Yeah.
Ah.
because it was the engineer, you see.
Yeah.
We had one engineer per mill, and it was making cloth for soldiers.
Oh, I see. Oh, did he make cloth for soldiers' uniforms?
Yes.
Oh, how interesting.
Yes.
Oh.
And so he was never called up, you see.
Goodness.
The designer was called up because they did not want design.
No.
Engineers they
Yes.
needed.
Because it was an essential service.
Yes, that's it.
How interesting. Oh,
Yes.
goodness.
And was that the mill? Was he working at the mill near to Allison Drive, the other side of the road?
Yes,
Was it?
just across the road.
Yeah.
The
Yes. Yes.
They closed down and made it into various jobs, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it's gone altogether now.
Was it?
Crowther and Nicholson.
Hmm?
Is it Crowther and Nicholson?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Nicholson lived just above us.
All right.
Not Mr. Nicholson, Mr. Crowther.
Sir Crowther.
Mr. Crowther. It was a lovely house in a big garden, and he lived there.
Mm.
And of course, our Allison Drive, it just went to the top,
Yes.
and just round the corner there was Crowther's house and another house at the other side, and that finished. Since then, they've built more houses down at the bottom.
Yes.
Didn't Gary used to have chickens?
Yes,
Up the top there
Yes.
somewhere.
where the chickens were, there are houses
Houses
now.
there now.
Ah.
It was part of Hilda Cook's garden.
Dear me.
Yes.
Huh. I remember that. And did he have rabbits there? Or am I imagining that?
We had a rabbits at one time in our garden.
Okay.
I remember.
That's
I
it.
remember having them in our garden. Yeah.
I remember also, we're going back here, aren't we? I remember the Metrics. Is it the Metrics lived opposite you?
Yeah.
And he played the piano. I used to play the piano duets with Anthony,
Oh.
the boy,
Oh,
you know,
did you?
Anthony Metric. Yeah.
Yeah.
We played in one or two concerts for old people, I remember.
Oh.
Oh.
I don't know, have you kept in touch with them at all?
I don't know what happened to
No,
him.
no.
And his wife, his mother. I mean, she lost her first husband. And she got married again, and I think she lost him.
All right.
One of the things I remember in that house, I always envied Gary this. He had an air rifle.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember him having an air rifle? Gary.
Gary.
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't remember that
Because to
because
shoot the magpies.
yes, he used to shoot out of the window.
The magpies, yes, yeah.
I was very
very
envious of
naughty.
that.
The other thing I remember about Allison Drive is the cellar. Now,
Yes.
Gary and Keith used to scare me with that cellar because they always used to say there was a wild animal at the back of the cellar. Because it was a long, deep cellar, wasn't it?
Do you know that cellar was made into a flat?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Good grief.
The people who bought it from us had grown up children, and I remember saying to them, "Well, this bungalow's not big enough for your family." She said, "Oh well, they're getting married," and one of them got married and lived in Ireland, and so when they came over, there was nowhere for them to stay, and they built a proper flat underneath.
Goodness.
They could get everywhere except our front room. It wasn't high enough,
All right.
but everywhere else, they made a staircase down. Can you remember where our bedroom was at the
Yeah,
back?
yeah.
Well,
Yes.
they took a bit off and
Right.
made a staircase that went down.
Down to the cellar.
And they made our little bedroom. They put two bunk beds in, and underneath the dining room was a proper living room. They made 2 windows that faced the drive.
Yes.
2 windows there, and it was quite nice, but it wasn't as high as this, but nevertheless they could.
Yes.
They could get about, you know. It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't very tall, was it?
Wow.
So it must have been tall enough to be able to walk.
Yes,
walk
they
in.
didn't have to bend down
No.
or anything
No,
like that.
no, they wouldn't have allowed building permission if that had been the case.
And the kitchen was just as you went in the door,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So the kitchen was where Gary's work forge, where
Yes.
where he had the fire and the bellows and the irons and things. Oh my goodness me!
And I also
I don't
remember.
remember that, but I do remember Uncle Clifford grew mushrooms in the cellar.
Oh,
I remember the mushrooms because I remember him showing me or telling me.
yeah.
Yes, mushrooms.
The
and
other-
then, go ahead, Stuart.
No,
You're going to say something.
Well, I was just going to say, talking about the cellar. The other thing I remember about the cellar is Gary's ginger beer.
Oh yes, 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 yes,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
He had.
Yes.
He used to have to move, keep it going, hadn't you? Because you had to move
The starter,
the starter.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
he gave the starter a name. I can't remember what it was
It's-
called now.
Albert.
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 Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the ginger beer that
Yes.
he used to do there? And we used to go down there, and he was very proud of showing me all this ginger
Yes.
He still makes wine, you know.
Does he?
Yeah.
beer. Oh, right.
Or beer or
Give
something.
that a try,
Yeah.
that. Yes. Oh, dear.
Yes, it was quite a good cellar.
So you've obviously been back since it's been altered. What did you just go back because you were curious?
No, I didn't go back.
Oh, you haven't been back.
Oh,
Mary
it's
Mary
Mary's.
and Clifford have been.
Oh, and they've
Ah.
told you what they've done.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
you've got a very good memory to remember what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah, painted a very clear picture. Yeah, yeah. What about that photograph of my mum and dad that you have playing tennis?
Oh, yes. Oh.
Could that be Greenhead Park?
That might have been in Greenhead
Yes,
Park. Yes,
yeah.
right.
Were you a member of the tennis club that my mum and dad were?
Yeah.
So did you play tennis with mum and dad? My mum and dad.
Yes, we played at Hill House Tennis Club.
Oh,
Is that before you met Clifford?
no,
No.
you'd be married then.
Oh, you'd been married then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and living in Alson
But-
Drive.
You know where our old tennis club was, don't you? Up
Hill
Bradford
House.
Road.
Huh?
Bradford Road.
Oh, it's still there.
No, it isn't there now. You walked
Yes.
down a bit of Dewhurst
Yes.
Road and turned to your left.
Okay, I can
and
very
you got
vaguely
to the
remember
tennis
that.
I do
Yeah.
vaguely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you play with Clifford? Did Clifford play tennis?
Michael.
Yes.
Yes, it was a good tennis player.
Ah,
Was he?
Good,
I didn't know that.
A good for what we played.
So
you
what?
know.
Yeah.
Were my parents any good at playing tennis?
I can't
I
remember.
can't remember. Did you play with each other?
We played as odd matches and
Right.
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if there was a match with you and Clifford against my parents, mum and dad, who would have won?
Oh, yes. Well, there weren't.
They were, so
I remember my dad being pretty good because he beat me at tennis when I was about 15 or 16.
Oh,
Yeah.
So he was pretty sharp. Yeah.
yes.
Our parents, mum and dad, they apparently met playing tennis.
Yes.
Did you and Clifford meet playing tennis?
Well, we met at church. Sunday school, and we went to everything connected with Sunday school. They had social evenings and all the rest, you know. And we went in a gang to dances and everything.
I see.
And,
Did they do plays in those days? Because at Hill House Church, the church there, they used to put on plays.
yes, yes. Well, Pam was at one of those.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, and I remember that. Yeah.
Yes, yes. They used to put on.
Did you follow football at the time, or did Clifford get you interested in the football?
Well, it was my father who got us interested in football, you see, with him being a director.
Oh, your father was a director.
My father was a director for over 50 years.
Wow.
Right.
I've got the thing there, a plaque.
Oh, Parker.
Yeah.
Of course, Parker, yes.
Huh.
Oh, yes, a silver plaque. And Clifford...
I say, I've never asked you if you want a cup of tea.
No. We've got some scones there, Mary, which will...
Mabel?
Mabel. my memory's going. I called you Mary then.
Keith and Stuart are going to make some tea if you like. We can make tea for you. In your house.
Yeah.
What would you like?
Yes.
Would you like a cup of tea?
Well, now,
I'm saying...
that sounds good.
but I mean...
I always like a cup of tea.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
I was going to ask you, but we went on talking, you see.
Yes.
Do you want to?
Shall I put the kettle on, Mabel? Because we've got some
Yeah, and I'll
scones there
continue.
as well.
I filled it with water.
Right.
So he was at the football club then. Your father. I sort of knew that. What was the club new in those days? I mean, was it the founding director?
It wasn't brand new. There were a few people there who'd been at the start, so he wasn't at the start, but he was there very shortly after. Well, that's the team. That's my father at that end.
Right at the end by your thumb there?
That one there.
Oh, the top row. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what year is that? Do we know?
1922.
Oh, my goodness.
Is it? Yeah.
Do you know if they were a good team in those days?
Oh, they were a star team in those
Were
days.
they?
Yes.
Champions.
Yes, they were.
How lovely.
It was different in those days, you know. The directors, not all of them, not my father, and some of them were workers for the football, you know. My father was a keen footballer.
Yes.
But these other men were all aldermen of the town.
Really? Yeah.
Nowadays they're foreigners and...
Business people and all kinds of things. Yeah.
Aye. And that was the thing that he was given, you see, when he was 1920 he started.
Dick Parker.
Yes.
From the Board of Directors of Huddersfield Town
AFC,
yeah, in recognition of many years' service to the club, 1920 to 1974.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Oh, Mabel. I'm just saying, that's amazing. All that time.
Yes.
That's
I'm not sure it wasn't one of the longest directors anywhere.
It had to
Yes.
be, yes. It had to be.
That is so lovely.
But the directors are not like that now. They're not local, you know.
Oh.
No. No.
The foreigners.
They're
who
foreigners. Things
But
are
I
what they used to
I
be.
still listen to them on the television.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and not on the television, on the
radio.
On the radio, yeah.
Yeah.
More water in there, maybe, so don't dodge it. Right, I'm going to open this.
Hey.
I'll open this now because I can smell those scones. Have you got 4 plates, Mabel?
Oh, well, I'll go and fetch for them.
All right. I think we might just have enough water, actually.
So you tell us if those are good scones.
You've certainly done a lot of cooking in your time.
I
Mabel.
know.
I've been here and
Yes.
you've had trays full of cakes and scones
I
and butties
know.
and all sorts.
Always a wonderful baker.
You always were.
There you are.
Thank you. Right, you go and
I've got myself sorted, have I?
Shall I put your tea?
Where would you? Oh, if you got something, that's good. You can heat it up in the microwave if you want.
Just as I always have it.
Is this?
Always cold. Do you like it like that? It's all right. Okay.
All right, fair enough.
But nearly. Wasn't that eating a bun?
Oh, I have. I've had plenty. Would you like the? Has anybody had the other half of the cheese?
No, the cheese. Half of the cheese.
Would you
scone is
like
still
half
left
of the
there.
cheese
No,
scone?
I don't want it.
Okay, well, you have that later on.
Yeah.
Later on, because the cheese one was really good.
Is that photograph on the wall over there? Is that Clifford and the Huddersfield Town?
At the left-hand
directors?
side.
Yes.
Yeah, when he was giving up.
Oh, after he retired, was it?
I can recognize. I can see that.
Yes.
That it's
And the
that's Clifford and that's Gary.
chap who took it on, I connected. He was a millionaire. He'd done himself very well. And his mother always said, out of the three of them, he's the only one who didn't go to university.
He's the only one who's a millionaire.
And he's the one who, she said, but his taste in women, he gets all in a mess with his women. she's died now, but she used to come to our church.
Yes.
You haven't got to be a millionaire anymore to be the chairman of a football club.
Is what
I say, it's no use being a millionaire now, being a chairman of a football club. You've got to be a billionaire.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
billionaire.
A million will get you nothing.
1 millionaire.
It doesn't buy that
No.
much this day.
It will get you. It'll get you perhaps a big toe of a good football player now. £1 million.
A fullback.
It's changed, hasn't it?
Everything changes. You know.
Yeah. For the worst, I think.